She barely brushed him. His armor shattered part one. The arrival of Valoran warships came out of the darkness like metal ghosts. There were 40 of them, each one bigger than a mountain, each one carrying enough weapons to burn a continent. They had traveled across the stars for 300 years, conquering every world they found. No species had ever stopped them. No species had ever tried. Commander Talon stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the blue planet grow larger on his screens. His officers moved quietly around him, checking systems and preparing landing teams. They had done this many times before. They knew what to expect. "Report," Talon said. His voice was calm. He felt no excitement. This was just another conquest, another weak world to add to the Empire's collection. "The planet is called Earth by its inhabitants," his second officer replied. "Population approximately 8 billion. Technology level is primitive. They have basic space travel but nothing that can threaten us. Their weapons use chemical propulsion and simple nuclear reactions." Talon almost smiled. Chemical weapons. How adorable. And the inhabitants themselves. Carbon-based life forms. Soft tissue, fragile bone structure. Average height around 1.7 meters. They call themselves humans. The officer pulled up images on the main screen. They appear to be a young species. Emotional. Disorganized. They fight among themselves constantly. Talon studied the images. The humans looked weak. Their bodies had no natural armor, no claws, no venom. They wore artificial coverings to protect their soft skin from their own sun. They needed machines to move quickly or lift heavy objects. "This will be quick," Talon said. "Prepare the landing teams. We will establish dominance within one rotation of their planet." His officers bowed and moved to obey. Talon touched the chest plate of his armor. It was made from crystal forged in the heart of a dying star, compressed and shaped by ancient machines that no longer existed. This armor had protected his family for 12 generations. Nothing in the known universe could damage it. He had walked through fire, through acid, through the vacuum of space. The armor had never shown a single scratch. He was invincible. His warriors were invincible. And soon, this small blue world would kneel before them. The landing ships fell through Earth's atmosphere like burning arrows. They came down in a place the humans called Sol, a city of glass towers and crowded streets. The Valoran soldiers marched out in perfect formation, their crystal armor catching the sunlight and throwing rainbows across the ground. People ran. Cars crashed into each other. Screams filled the air. Human soldiers appeared with their primitive weapons, but they held their fire. Someone was shouting through a communication device, trying to establish contact, trying to understand what was happening. Talon watched through cameras mounted on his soldiers' helmets. He saw the fear in human eyes. He saw them backing away, clearing paths, lowering their heads. Good. They understood their place already in the chaos of the evacuation. A young woman named Yuna was trying to do her job. She was a paramedic, trained to help injured people, and there were injured people everywhere. An old man had fallen and hit his head. A child was crying, separated from her parents. A pregnant woman was having trouble breathing from the smoke and dust. Yuna moved between them, checking wounds, offering comfort, calling for backup that would never come. Her heart was pounding, but her hands were steady. This was what she did. This was who she was. "You must leave," her partner shouted at her. "The evacuation order covers everyone." "There are still people here," Yuna shouted back. "Help me move them." A shadow fell over her. She looked up and saw a Valoran soldier standing 3 meters away. He was tall, nearly 2.5 meters, and his armor sparkled like diamonds. His face was hidden behind a helmet, but she could feel his eyes on her. "Kneel," the soldier said. His voice came through a translator, flat and mechanical. Kneel before your new masters. This world now belongs to the Valoran Empire. Una stared at him. Behind her, the old man was groaning in pain. The child was still crying. The pregnant woman needed help. I don't have time for this, Una said. Move. She stepped forward and put her hand on his chest, trying to push past him. It was not a punch. It was not an attack. It was just a woman trying to get around an obstacle to help people who needed her. The sound was like breaking glass. The Valoran soldier stumbled backward. He looked down at his chest. Cracks were spreading across his armor, thin lines racing outward from where her palm had touched him. The sacred crystal, forged in the heart of a star, compressed by ancient machines, was falling apart. Una froze. She looked at her hand. She looked at the soldier. She did not understand. The soldier fell to his knees. More pieces of his armor dropped to the ground. Inside, his body was broken. The force that had cracked the crystal had passed through it and into him. Other Valoran soldiers turned to look. Through their helmet cameras, Talon saw everything. He saw the small human woman standing over his fallen warrior. He saw the shattered remains of armor that should have been impossible to damage. What? He whispered. What is this? His officers were silent. No one had an answer. On the ground, Una was still staring at her hand. Other humans were gathering now, watching, recording with their small devices. The Valoran soldiers were backing away, their weapons raised but their hands shaking. One of them fired at Una. The energy blast hit her shoulder and knocked her down. She cried out in pain, rolling across the ground, but she got back up. The wound was bad. Her uniform was burned. Blood was running down her arm, but she stood up. She looked at the soldier who had shot her, and in her eyes there was no fear anymore. There was only anger, I said. She spoke slowly. Move. The soldiers ran. Talon watched them flee. He watched the small human woman turn back to help the injured, ignoring her own wound, ignoring the fact that she had just done something impossible. He watched and felt something he had not felt in 200 years of conquest. Fear. All units, he said, his voice barely steady. Return to ships immediately. We are withdrawing to orbit. His officers stared at him. Now. He shouted. The Valoran Empire had never retreated from anything. Today, they ran from a paramedic who just wanted to do her job. And in the streets of Seoul, Una finally finished helping the last injured civilian before she let herself collapse. Her brother would find her there an hour later, unconscious from blood loss, but alive. She had no idea that she had just changed the galaxy forever. She barely brushed him. His armor shattered. Part 2. The Discover Una woke up in a white room that smelled like medicine. Her shoulder hurt badly, but the pain was distant, softened by drugs. She tried to sit up and felt hands pushing her gently back down. Don't move, a familiar voice said. You lost a lot of blood. She opened her eyes and saw her brother Do-won standing beside her bed. He looked tired. His glasses were smudged and his hair was messy. He had been crying. She realized. The marks were still on his face. What happened? She asked. Her voice was rough and dry. You scared me half to death, Do-won said. That's what happened. You almost died. The aliens. Gone. Back to their ships in orbit. He sat down heavily in a chair beside her bed. Una, what did you do to that soldier? She remembered the feeling of her palm against crystal. She remembered the sound of breaking glass. She remembered the soldier falling. I don't know, she said honestly. I just touched him. I was trying to get past him. Do-won was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his tablet and showed her a video. It was footage from someone's phone, shaky and unclear, but good enough to see what happened. She watched herself push the alien. She watched his armor crack and fall apart. This video has been seen by 2 billion people, the one said. Every government on Earth wants to talk to you. The United Nations has called an emergency meeting. Scientists from 30 countries are asking questions I can't answer. Yuna stared at the video. I didn't hit him that hard. I barely touched him. I know, Doan said. That's what scares everyone. 3 days later, Yuna was moved to a research facility. Her shoulder was healing faster than the doctors expected. They called it remarkable. She called it annoying because it meant she had to answer more questions. Doan was part of the research team. He was a biophysicist, a scientist who studied how living bodies worked. He had spent years studying human muscles and bones, trying to understand why people got sick and how to help them get better. Now he was trying to understand why his sister could break alien armor with her bare hands. The tests took weeks. They measured everything about Yuna: her bone density, her muscle structure, her nerve responses. They compared her results to normal human data and found nothing unusual. She was perfectly average for a human woman her age. Then they compared her results to the Valoran data. The aliens had left behind the body of the soldier Yuna had killed. Scientists from around the world studied it carefully. They measured his bones, his muscles, his organs. They tested his armor, analyzing its structure and strength. The results made no sense at first. This is impossible, one scientist said during a meeting. The Valoran bone density is 1/3 of human average. Their muscle fibers are nearly transparent. By our standards, they are extremely fragile. But they conquered 12 star systems, another scientist argued. They defeated species far more advanced than us. How can they be fragile? Doan stood up. He had been quiet until now, reading through data on his tablet, checking and rechecking his calculations. Everyone turned to look at him. They're not fragile by galactic standards, he said slowly. They're normal. We're the ones who are different. He walked to the main screen and pulled up his data. Earth's gravity is higher than average for inhabited planets. Our atmosphere is thicker. Our sun produces more radiation. Everything about our world is more intense, more dangerous, more extreme. He pointed to a chart showing human bone structure. Our bodies evolved to survive here. Our bones are denser because they have to support us against stronger gravity. Our muscles are stronger because they have to move us through thicker air. Our skin is tougher because it has to protect us from harsher radiation. He pulled up another chart. This one comparing human and Valoran strength. What we consider normal physical contact generates force levels that exceed Valoran armor tolerance thresholds. What Yuna did to that soldier. It would be like one of them gently poking us with a finger and somehow punching through steel. The room was silent. We are not weak, Doan continued. We never were. We just never had anything to compare ourselves to. We thought we were average because we only knew ourselves. What does this mean? Someone asked. It means we are one of the strongest species in the galaxy, Doan said. And we never knew it. Far above Earth, Commander Talon was learning the same thing. His scientists had been studying human data stolen from Earth's networks. They watched videos that made them sick with fear. Humans lifting heavy weights for fun. Humans hitting each other in organized sports. Humans surviving crashes and falls that should have killed them instantly. One video showed an old, human grandmother slapping a young man across the face. The young man laughed and rubbed his cheek. Among Valoran officers, that slap would have shattered bone. They do this to each other for amusement, one scientist whispered. They call it playing. Talon watched a human child fall from a tree and stand up laughing. He watched humans run for hours without rest. He watched them survive injuries that would kill any Valoran warrior. These are not prey, he said finally. His voice was hollow. These are apex predators. They have simply not realized what they are. He sent a message to his emperor, explaining everything they had learned. The response came quickly. Destroy the planet. Kill them all before they understand their own strength. If they ever leave their world, if they ever turn their power against us, we will not survive. Talon read the message 3 times. He thought about the young woman who had killed his soldier with a touch. He thought about the look in her eyes when she got back up after being shot. She had been angry, not afraid. Angry. What would happen when all humans felt that anger? What would happen when they stopped trying to push past the obstacles and started trying to destroy them? He gave the order to begin bombardment. On Earth, Do-hwan burst into Yuna's room. She was finally out of bed, doing physical therapy exercises to strengthen her healing shoulder. They're attacking, he said. The aliens. They're bombing cities from orbit. Yuna stopped moving. Through the window, she could see smoke rising in the distance. She could hear explosions like thunder. Why? She asked. We didn't do anything to them. Because they're afraid of us, Do-hwan said. They're afraid of what we might become. Yuna looked at her hands. Small hands. Gentle hands. Hands that had spent years helping people, healing wounds, offering comfort. Hands that could apparently shatter the most powerful armor in the galaxy. Then let's give them something real to be afraid of, she said quietly. Do-hwan stared at his sister. He had never seen that look in her eyes before. It scared him a little. It also made him proud. The military is planning a counterattack, he said. They want volunteers for a boarding mission. They want to take the fight to the alien ships. Yuna was already reaching for her jacket. Where do I sign up? She barely brushed him. His armor shattered. Part 3. The bombardment fire fell from the sky like rain. Valoran weapons turned cities into ash, melted steel into rivers, and burned forests to black ground. In 3 days, 50 million humans died. In 6 days, the number reached 200 million. Earth fought back. Missiles launched from underground bunkers, from submarines hiding in deep oceans, from mobile platforms moving through mountains. The weapons were primitive by galactic standards, just metal tubes filled with explosives and fire. They should have bounced off Valoran shields, like insects hitting glass. They punched through. Valoran engineers could not understand it. Their shields were designed to stop particle beams and plasma cannons. They were not designed to stop physical objects moving at such incredible speeds, carrying such enormous force. Human weapons hit like the fists of angry gods. 3 Valoran ships fell burning from orbit. Then 5 more. Then 10. But there were still 30 ships remaining, and Earth was running out of missiles. Yuna sat in a small room with 3 other people. They had been selected from thousands of volunteers for the most dangerous mission in human history. They would board the Valoran command ship and destroy its weapons from inside. The military general who briefed them was honest about their chances. You will probably die, he said. The ship is heavily defended. Even if you get inside, there are thousands of soldiers between you and your target. We cannot provide backup or extraction. This is a one-way trip. Yuna looked at her teammates. Junho was 53 years old. He had spent 30 years in special forces before retiring. When the aliens attacked, he had walked into a recruitment office and demanded to be put back in service. They told him he was too old. He broke a training dummy in half with one punch and asked if they wanted to reconsider. Myre was an engineer. She had designed the boarding craft they would use, a simple metal shell with engines strapped to it. She was brilliant with machines, but had never been in combat. Her hands shook constantly, but she refused to leave the mission. Taiwan was Yuna's oldest friend. They had grown up together in the same neighborhood, gone to the same schools, and stayed close even as adults. He had been a competitive wrestler before becoming a firefighter. When he heard Yuna had volunteered, he signed up the same day. "I'm not letting you do something stupid without me," he had told her. The general finished his briefing and asked if anyone wanted to withdraw. No one moved. "Then may whatever gods you believe in protect you," he said. "Launch is in 4 hours." The boarding craft was ugly. Myri apologized for it constantly during the flight up. "I had 2 weeks to build it," she said. 2 weeks. I should have had years. The life support is barely working. The engines could fail at any moment. The heat shielding is made from emergency blankets and prayers. "It got us up here," Junho said. He was checking his equipment for the 10th time. They had no real weapons, just tools and emergency gear. Cutting torches, fire axes, crowbars, things meant for rescue work. Not combat dot, it would have to be enough. Valoran point defense systems noticed them. When they were 3 kilometers from the command ship, energy beams tore through the craft like paper. The walls exploded inward. Air rushed out through a dozen holes. Fire bloomed and died in the vacuum dot inside. The 4 humans held on Junho had 3 pieces of metal stuck in his left arm. He pulled them out one by one, watched the blood freeze in the cold of space, and kept moving. Marie's suit had been torn open. She was suffocating. Taiwan grabbed emergency sealant and sprayed it across the hole, giving her air again. Yuna was steering what remained of the craft with manual controls. Her screens were dead. Her instruments were destroyed. She was flying by looking through a crack in the hull and guessing. They hit the command ship at almost full speed. The impact should have killed them. It would have killed any Valoran. Instead, 4 humans crawled out of the wreckage, bleeding and burned and very, very angry. The first Valoran soldiers appeared within seconds. They fired energy weapons that burned holes in walls and melted floor panels. They expected the humans to fall. Yuna charged. She moved faster than they expected. Their weapons tracked too slowly. She reached the first soldier and hit him in the chest with her open palm. His armor shattered. His body flew backward and crashed through 2 walls before stopping. The other soldiers froze. In that moment of hesitation, Junho was among them. He was old. He was wounded. He was using a fire axe meant for breaking down doors. It worked just as well on Valoran armor. Myri stayed back, using her engineering knowledge to direct them. She read the ship's layout from wall markings and told them which corridors to take. When a soldier got too close to her, she hit him with a crowbar. The crowbar broke. So did the soldier. Taiwan grabbed a Valoran who tried to run and threw him. The soldier flew 30 meters through the air before hitting a wall. He did not get up. "This way," Myri shouted. The weapons array is 3 levels down. They fought through corridor after corridor. Valoran soldiers came in waves, and waves broke against them. The humans took injuries that would have killed any other species. They kept moving. Yuna's left eye was swollen shut from a blow that had cracked her cheekbone. Junho was limping badly, his knee twisted in a direction knees were not meant to go. Myri had burns covering half her body. Taiwan was leaving a trail of blood from a wound in his side that he refused to let anyone look at. They reached the weapons array. It was a massive room filled with machines and displays. Valoran technicians ran when they saw the humans coming. Only one figure remained, standing in the center of the room. Commander Talon. He wore armor different from the soldiers. It was older, more ornate, covered in symbols and decorations. It glowed with inner light. "You are remarkable creatures," he said. His translator gave his words a strange echo. "I have watched your progress through my ship. You fight like nothing we have ever seen." "Surrender," Yuna said. Her voice was rough with pain and exhaustion. "Call off your fleet. Leave our world." Talon tilted his head. "I cannot. My emperor has ordered your extinction. Even if I wanted to disobey, My officers would not follow me. Then we'll destroy your weapons and find another way. Perhaps. Talon stepped forward. But first, you will have to get past me. Janho raised his axe. Taiwan moved to flank. Ray reached for her crowbar yellow and raised one hand. Not them. You. He pointed at Yuna. You are the one who started this. You will be the one to finish it. Single combat. If you win, my fleet will withdraw. I give you my word as a warrior. And if I lose, then your world burns as my emperor commands. Yuna looked at her friends. They were hurt. They were tired. They had given everything to get her here. She could not ask them to give more. Yuna, don't, Taiwan said. We can take him together. No. She stepped forward. This is my fight. She faced Commander Talon across the weapons array. He drew a sword that glowed like captured starlight. She raised her empty hands. Begin, Talon said, and the final battle for Earth began. She barely brushed him. His armor shattered. Part 4. The confrontation Commander Talon had been a warrior for 200 years. He had learned to fight before most humans' grandparents were born. He had killed thousands of enemies across 100 worlds. His sword had tasted blood from species that no longer existed because he had ended them. Yuna had taken a self-defense class once 8 years ago. She had quit after 3 weeks because she did not like hitting people. Talon moved first. His sword cut through the air faster than Yuna could see. She threw herself sideways, feeling the blade pass through the space where her head had been. Heat washed over her face from the weapon's energy field. She hit the ground and rolled. Talon was already turning, already swinging again. She scrambled backward, her hands slipping on the smooth floor. You have strength, Talon said, stalking toward her. But strength without skill is nothing. A rock is strong. A rock cannot fight. He swung again. This time, the blade caught her arm, cutting through her sleeve and the skin beneath. She screamed and fell back. Yuna! Taiwan started forward. Stay back. She pushed herself up with her good arm. Blood ran down her fingers and dripped onto the floor. This is my fight. Talon watched her rise. There was something like respect in his eyes. You have courage too, he said. I almost regret having to kill you. Then don't. I have no choice. My emperor commands, and I obey. That is what warriors do. That's what soldiers do, Yuna said. Warriors choose their battles. Talon paused. For a moment, something flickered across his face. Then it was gone, replaced by cold determination. Philosophy will not save you. He attacked again. Yuna could not match his speed. She could not match his skill. Every time she tried to block, his blade found another angle. Every time she tried to dodge, he anticipated her movement. Cuts opened across her body, one after another. Shallow wounds meant to weaken rather than kill. He was taking his time. He was enjoying this. But Yuna noticed something. Every time she landed a blow, even a glancing one, even when it hit his armor and bounced away, Talon flinched. Every impact made him stumble, just slightly. The difference in their strength was so great that even her failed attacks were hurting him. She stopped trying to dodge. Talon's next swing cut across her stomach. The pain was incredible. She felt blood soaking into her clothes. But she did not fall back. She stepped forward, her fist hit his shoulder. The armor cracked. Talon gasped and staggered. His sword arm dropped, suddenly weak. What? He whispered. Yuna hit him again. And again. Her knuckles broke against his armor. She did not care. Every blow sent new cracks racing across the ancient crystal. Every impact drove him further back. Talon tried to raise his sword. Yuna grabbed his wrist and squeezed. The bones inside broke like dry sticks. The sword fell from his fingers. Talon dropped to his knees, cradling his shattered arm. His magnificent armor was falling apart around him, pieces dropping to the floor like leaves from a dying tree. "How?" he gasped. "How are you still standing? I cut you a dozen times. You should be dead." Yuna looked down at herself. He was right. The wounds were bad. She should not be standing. She should not be conscious. But she thought about the cities burning below. She thought about the hospitals full of injured people. She thought about children crying for parents who would never come home. "I'm a paramedic," she said. "I help people who are hurt. I save lives." She grabbed the front of his broken armor and pulled him close. "You came to my world. You killed my people. You tried to destroy everything I love." She raised her fist. "I'm not going to let you." The final punch was not aimed properly. It was not technically correct. It was just a woman putting all her pain and anger and love into one desperate attack. Talon's armor exploded. The force of the impact sent pieces of crystal flying across the room. The commander flew backward, hit the wall, and slid to the floor. Inside his ruined protection, his body was broken. Ribs shattered. Organs ruptured. He was dying. Yuna walked toward him slowly. Every step sent pain shooting through her body. She was losing blood fast. The room was starting to spin. She knelt beside her fallen enemy. Talon looked up at her. Blood was leaking from his mouth, running down his chin. His breathing was shallow and wet. "Finish it," he whispered. "A warrior deserves a clean death." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small medical kit. She had carried it with her out of habit, the same kit she took on every emergency call. She started trying to stop his bleeding. "What are you doing?" Talon's eyes widened. "I tried to kill you. I tried to destroy your world. I know. Then why? Because this is who I am." She pressed bandages against his wounds, even though she knew it was hopeless. "I don't stop being a healer just because I'm angry. I don't stop helping people just because they hurt me." Talon stared at her. In 200 years of war, he had never seen anything like this. He had killed enemies who begged for mercy. He had destroyed civilizations that tried to surrender. Never once had a defeated foe tried to save his life. He started to laugh. It hurt. Blood bubbled from his lips. But he laughed anyway. "We thought we were conquering a primitive world," he said. "We thought you were weak because you were gentle. We were fools." He reached up and touched her face with his remaining good hand. It was the first time he had touched a human without trying to hurt them. "You did not become monsters to defeat us," he whispered. "You stayed human. That is more frightening than anything else you could have done." His hand dropped. His eyes went still. Commander Talon, conqueror of 12 star systems, died watching a human show him mercy he had never deserved. Yuna knelt there for a moment, her head bowed. Then she heard explosions in the distance. The fight was not over yet. She tried to stand and fell. Taiwan caught her before she hit the ground. "I've got you," he said. "I've got you." "The weapons," she managed. "We have to. Moray's handling it. The explosives are set. We need to go." He lifted her in his arms like she weighed nothing. Junho was already at the door, checking the corridor. Myra was finishing the last of the charges. 2 minutes, Myra called. "Move." They ran through the dying ship. Behind them, the weapons array exploded. Fire chased them through corridors. Valoran soldiers ran past without fighting, trying to reach escape pods. Somehow, impossibly, they found a shuttle bay. Somehow, impossibly, there was a ship they could steal. Junho flew it out of the command ship seconds before the secondary explosions began. Yuna watched through a tiny window as the Valoran flagship broke apart. Fires bloomed silently in the vacuum of space. Debris scattered in all directions. The other Valoran ships were pulling back. Without their commander, without their flagship, they had no will to fight. They were running. "We did it," Myre whispered. She was crying. "We actually did it." Taiwan held Yuna tighter. She could feel his tears falling on her face. "You did it," he said. "You saved us all." Yuna wanted to answer. She wanted to say that it was not just her, that they had done it together, that everyone who fought deserved credit, but the darkness was coming too fast. The blood loss was too great. Her eyes closed. The last thing she heard was Taiwan screaming her name. She barely brushed him. His armor shattered. Part 5. The awakening Juno woke up slowly. The first thing she noticed was the sunlight coming through a window. The second thing she noticed was the flowers. There were hundreds of them, filling every surface of the room. "You're awake." She turned her head and saw Dowan sitting beside her bed. He looked different, healthier, less tired. There was gray in his hair that she did not remember seeing before. "How long?" she asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. 3 months. He took her hand. "You almost died, Yuna. Your heart stopped twice. The doctors did not think you would make it." She looked down at her body. She was covered in scars. Her arms, her stomach, everywhere Tylen's blade had touched her. She would carry those marks forever. The others? Alive. Junho lost his leg, but they gave him a new one. He says it's better than the original. Mireille is working with the government now, helping design new ships. Taiwan. Dawan smiled. Taiwan has been here every day. He just stepped out to get food. He's going to be very upset that he missed you waking up. Yuna felt tears building in her eyes. The invasion? Over. The Valoran fleet retreated to their empire. Their new emperor declared Earth a forbidden zone. No Valoran ship is allowed within 10 light years of our system. New emperor? The old one was executed by his own council after the defeat. Apparently, losing to a species of primitive savages was considered unforgivable. Dawan's smile faded. "Yuna, a lot has changed while you were sleeping. The videos from the command ship were broadcast to the whole galaxy. Everyone saw what you did." He pulled out his tablet and showed her. The footage was grainy and damaged, recorded by surviving Valoran cameras. She watched herself fight Talon. She watched herself take wound after wound and keep standing. She watched herself break his armor with her bare hands, and she watched herself try to save his life after defeating him. This video has been seen by billions of beings across hundreds of star systems. Dowan said, "You are the most famous human in the galaxy. You are the most famous human in history." Yuna closed her eyes. She did not feel like a hero. She felt tired and broken and sad. "I didn't want this," she said. "I just wanted to help people. I know." Dowan squeezed her hand. "But you changed everything, whether you wanted to or not." The door opened. Taiwan stood there, a bag of food falling from his hands. "Yuna." He crossed the room in 3 steps and pulled her into his arms. She cried against his shoulder while he held her. "Don't ever do that again," he whispered. "Don't ever leave me like that again." "I'll try," she said. "I'll try." Weeks passed. Yuna recovered slowly. Her body healed, though the scars remained. Her mind took longer. She had nightmares about Talon. Not about fighting him, but about watching him die. She dreamed of his hand touching her face, of his final words, of the light leading his eyes. She had killed someone. Even if it was necessary, even if he had deserved it, she had taken a life. That weight would never fully leave her. But there was work to be done. The galaxy was watching Earth now. Other species, ones who had been conquered or threatened by the Valorans, were sending messages. They wanted to meet the humans. They wanted to understand them. Some wanted to learn from them. Some wanted to fear them. The United Nations created a new organization called the Terran Diplomatic Corps. Its purpose was to represent humanity to the galaxy, to build relationships with other species, to help Earth take its place in the wider universe. They asked Yuna to lead it. "I'm not a diplomat," she told the officials who came to her hospital room. "I'm not a politician. I'm just a paramedic." "You are the human the galaxy knows," they replied. "You are the one they trust. When other species think of Earth, they think of you. They think of me breaking armor and killing a commander. They think of you trying to save him afterward." The lead official leaned forward. "That is the most important part, Miss Yuna, not your strength. Your mercy. You showed the galaxy that humans are powerful but choose to be gentle. That is why they want to know us." Yuna thought about it for a long time. She talked to Dongwan, to Taiwan, to Junho, and Mireille. They all said the same thing. This was bigger than her fears. This was bigger than her doubts. Humanity needed someone to represent them, and she was the one the galaxy would listen to. She accepted. 1 year after the invasion, Yuna stood before the Galactic Assembly for the first time. The chamber was enormous. 1,000 different species sat in rising tiers around the central platform. Some were tall and thin. Some were short and wide. Some had wings. Some had tentacles. Some were made of living crystal. Some were clouds of glowing gas. All of them remembered the videos. All of them knew what human hands could do. Yuna walked to the podium slowly. She was wearing simple clothes, not armor or uniform. Her scars were visible on her arms. She had chosen not to hide them. She looked out at the assembly. She could feel their fear. These were beings who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had technology that made human science look like children playing with toys. They could destroy Earth if they wanted to, but they were afraid of her. "My name is Yuna," she began. "I am a human from a planet called Earth. A year ago, I was a paramedic. I spent my days helping injured people, driving an ambulance, doing my best to save lives." She paused, gathering her thoughts. Then the Valorans came. They wanted to conquer us. They thought we were weak because we were small and soft. They thought we would surrender because we did not have ships that could cross the stars. She held up her hands. Small hands. Scarred hands. They learned they were wrong. These hands that looked so weak could break their strongest armor. These bodies that seemed so fragile could survive wounds that would kill their mightiest warriors. We were not weak. We had simply never needed to show our strength before. The assembly was completely silent. "I know you are afraid of us," Yuna continued. "I understand. If I had watched those videos, I would be afraid too. But I want you to understand something about humans." She stepped forward, away from the podium. "We spent 10,000 years learning to be gentle with each other. We had to. A single human can kill another human easily. We learned to shake hands instead of striking. We learned to hug instead of crushing. We learned to use our words instead of our fists." She spread her hands, showing her palms. "We are not conquerors. We do not want to destroy or dominate. We are builders. We are healers. We are teachers and artists and dreamers. Yes, we can break your armor, but we would rather make friends." She looked directly at the cameras broadcasting to the whole galaxy. "We come in peace. We have always come in peace. We just never knew that peace was something we had to be careful with." The assembly was still silent. Then, slowly, from the far side of the chamber, one being began to make a sound. A rhythmic noise, repeated over and over. Other beings joined in. The sound grew and spread until the entire chamber was filled with it. Applause. They were applauding. Yuna stood there. a small human woman surrounded by the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and felt tears running down her face. She had not broken anything today. She had not fought or killed. She had simply told the truth and asked for understanding, and the galaxy had listened. Humanity was not alone anymore. They never would be again. They would walk among the stars. These gentle giants, these terrifying healers, these people who were strong enough to choose kindness, and somewhere, watching from whatever afterlife warriors went to. Commander Talon smiled. The primitive world had not conquered the galaxy. They had done something much more impressive. They had made it want to be friends.